Why does my face look better on yours? Like, there's a secret here.
Here, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Maybe just do it upright.
With the that's a great idea. So that's why he's the superstar. How's everybody doing? Nick is hot. On yours it says Nick is hot.
Well,
on
thank
mine,
you.
It does not say Nick is hot.
Well, thank you,
and
Matthew.
No one is saying Mark is hot. No one.
I think so.
0. Well, thank you.
Maybe it's the beard.
Hello. Fantastic. We're just waiting for a few people to get on, and then Nick's going to do his superstar breakdown. Which is awesome. Breakdown. I love watching every week.
Where's everyone from? Where are you guys watching
look,
from?
Someone said Marcus Hot.
There you go, Nikki Sunshine.
Yeah. Those eyes. Are we talking about whose eyes are we talking about? I think it's pretty obvious.
Clearly you. What's up, Megan O'Levy? How you doing?
What? No way. And she's on mine.
Megan, you traitor, you go to Nick White. You go to Nick White Canine right now.
I didn't even know you follow me. I'm so excited about that. That's fantastic. I love it.
Hey, LaTanya.
How are we looking? 53
All
over
right.
there, 52 over there.
So we are going to get started. I am joined here with the legendary, the one that you all know, the one that actually lived up to the hype on Instagram, Sergeant Mark Tappan and Canine Mattis, who unfortunately is not with us right now. He's with us, don't worry.
In spirit.
He's just not with us physically right this second. How you doing, Mark?
I'm awesome, man. Thanks for having me here. I was excited that I got the invite to actually talk to you.
You were excited?
Yeah.
Everyone's waiting now. What's funny really quick is I started doing these with the underdogs and the winner just on my own. Like, oh, let me reach out and see if they want to do it. But now it's awesome because now the competitors reach out to me and they're like, hey, are we gonna do a live interview or what?
I was begging him.
So
when I found out I won after Wednesday, I started begging him, please, please, please have me on.
Put me on, coach. So I'm down here in Atlanta. I came here to Atlanta so we could do this thing live. And then I have voiceovers for America's Top Dog upcoming episodes tomorrow. So I'm in Atlanta for the next couple days. And if you guys have questions, try to save them to the end because I'm just going to be interviewing Mark, talking about the run. And we're really not going to be reading a lot of the comments because it's hard to why I'm doing the interview and stuff. So save your questions, your comments, all that stuff for the end, and then we'll do like a 10-minute Q&A, questions for myself, questions for Mark, question about Mattis, whatever you guys want to talk about. So, Mark Tappan, you guys had a lot of hype coming into America's Top Dog. Well, first, how did you get the call? How did that work?
Well, I didn't actually know about it, and someone actually, I guess, recommended me. It was my friend Zena Lamp. Had recommended me to be on the show, and so one of the producers called me up, or one of the casting agencies called me up and asked if I'd be interested, and I said, absolutely, that sounds like a lot of fun. And we did some Skype interviews. I guess they liked me enough that my eyes weren't quite as bad, or maybe the script was okay, and they liked Mattis a lot, and so we went from there and
got on.
Yeah, got on somehow. Out of how many applicants?
I think season 1 it was almost 1,000, and they picked 51 teams. So so you guys make it on America's Top Dog, and what going into it before we actually start the run, you going into it, where did you foresee you would do well, and where did you foresee may have some hiccups there?
There's a couple things that I was concerned with. I was excited about the course, especially when I saw it in person, because they kind of give you a printout of, like, these are some of the things to expect, but you don't know for sure until you actually see it. And so when I showed up, I was really impressed by the setup of everything. I was initially, before we got there, I was really concerned with the car slalom, funny enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I didn't know how it would be. I thought we were going to have to stand in a stationary spot and guide our dogs from that spot through all of the cars.
Oh, without you moving.
Yeah,
so like a single way, a cast out.
And possibly on other sides. Like if you noticed, all of them were pretty either in the back, but all on the same side. So I could direct my dog. I thought it might be like go out that window, but all the windows were open. So I trained.
You trained
ahead. I was like, go through every window.
You're doing it all.
I thought that could be hard. Just a dead prey ball hanging from a string I thought could be hard. And I didn't know how much, like I didn't know like a minion was going to be on the show.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how hard it was going to be to pull it down.
The weight.
So, you know, my attic in my house, that you have to, like, I almost had to I got to dangle from myself, so I had Mattis training on that.
That's awesome.
So I'm surprised he didn't, like, rip the attic. Yeah, the fire escape. I hope he didn't. But really the biggest thing was, and you talked about it on the show, was water. Up right before the actual show, like, we do some water stuff. We do bite water training.
But it's different with a decoy.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, because that's engaging.
There's a motivator.
Right.
Yeah.
But for him to just jump in the pool, he had never done it. Yeah. So,
and I mentioned that at the top of your run.
You did.
I'm like, look, I'm not sure how much water training, because I obviously knew who you were. I followed you guys on Instagram, so I'm like, I'm not sure how much water training they've done. So for me, you guys going into it, that was kind of my only, like, I think they'll do well on everything else, but I'm not sure how that'll go for them. And for those that don't know, every episode, like myself, Kurt Menifee, my co-host, who's amazing, we commentate for like 7 hours, and it gets cut into like 42 minutes. So the whole time, I was hyping this team up to our production, to Kurt. I'm like,
I never met you either.
Yeah, I'm like, this team's gonna crush it. We had a really good friend in common, Cody Talent. So I was very familiar with Mark through that, and I was like, they're going to crush it. They're going to crush it. And he's like, you've been hyping this team up. You better hope they do well. So you guys are now standing on the platform, getting ready to run the Canine Combine round 1. If you guys go back and watch the episode, I literally say, Kurt, this is the team that I've had my eye on from the beginning. And that part they air. And when you stand there, you look super chill. You look super calm. You looked ready. Were you nervous or no?
I love it. Like there's certain people that can tell you that know me. I'm the most competitive person you know, except for maybe you. Like after talking to you, but there's this song. There's two things that really influenced me. But there's a song that says like I like high chances that I might lose. I like going into something knowing that I have to give my absolute all, and I love the opportunity to be able to show it. So I was. Was I nervous? Yeah. Yeah, because you got the crowd that's sitting right there. You got the cameras and everything else.
And you know you're going to be on national television.
Yeah. And so, yes. But at the same time, it's like, bring it. Like, this is what I absolutely love.
That's what I do.
Yep. And from a book that I love, it says, in everything you do it with all your heart.
Yeah.
And that's the way I try to live my life.
Yeah.
Just do it with all your heart.
That's the best way to approach anything.
Yeah,
so you guys are standing on the platform, you get the buzzer, and you take off to the car slalom. Really, and if you guys have watched my interviews with the winners and underdogs before, I have to try to find something, even if it's pretty flawless, because then it would be a boring interview. If
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, perfect job, nice to have you on. So really the car slalom, it's almost being very nitpicky even calling an issue. The very first car, Mattis overshot just a little. Do you think because you were running, he just thought the run was going to keep going, or what do you think happened right there?
There was a cameraman right there. He thought he was supposed to nuke the cameraman.
Okay.
He was
awesome.
He was literally, and so I was like, oh crud. So if you listen closely, I do a recall on him. I said, Nate, here. And I tell him to jump through the window.
And he turns on
the
the
he's
dime.
like, oh, we're not doing that. Because he's, like, you got to think about the dogs. They're associative learners.
Yeah.
And he's never done anything like that.
You don't have a context that you have.
And there's a guy that's standing out in front of
him.
And
you're running.
And I take off running.
Yeah.
So he initially thinks it's like, oh, let's go.
And he can tell you're hyped up.
Yeah, it's got a shoulder-fired rocket.
Yeah. I got an RPG.
Yes.
And why I say it's kind of me nitpicking that was maybe a 1 second.
No, it was. I noticed it, and I knew it. I was like, when I rewatched it, I'm like, oh, I know what he's doing right there.
So it was maybe a 1 second. He probably got around the hood of the car. You were very quick. I'm sure the cameraman doesn't know it, but he's grateful. Very quick to recall Mattis. He comes back, and There's nothing else I can nitpick on the car slalom. That was it. The rest of them was pretty much flawless. He went in, went out, and you made it through the car slalom, the 4 cars, right at about 30 seconds.
Okay.
So you're on a 30-second, which is a really good pace for America's Top Dog to get through. So you're on a 30-second pace, you get through the car slalom. Now you get to the fire escape, which you were actually worried about, as you said. A little bit. Because there's no prey movement. It's just a isolated dead ball, essentially.
And the depth perception for a dog is a little bit difficult as well.
So Mattis comes flying, a little too overzealous and too overexcited. So the good thing is Mattis gives that ball some prey movement, because I believe he hits it and kind of runs around for maybe...
And misses it.
Yeah, maybe a second or two. And I even say, if you play it back, I'm like, it looks like Mattis is a little overexcited here.
You nailed it.
But then 2 seconds later, he grabs it, pulls it down, and level 2, level 3. Once he understood the concept of what you wanted on the first one, level 2 grab, level 3 grab. Any input on that? Or
well, the hardest part was when he grabbed it was to get him to let go to go up the ramp, because it was like, okay, remember, I just started running up the ramp a couple times, and I was like, I got to tell him to let go of the toy. So that slowed us down a tad, but
nothing
really
major.
Yeah, and then coming down, did you pick up what I did coming down?
I don't remember.
Are you serious? Oh, so on the 3rd level, I almost biffed it. Like, I was coming down, and I was like, whoa!
I didn't miss that.
Yeah, I almost ate it, and I was like, oh, that would have...
What, just running too committed to the run?
Yeah, because I was trying to, like, I'm like, I can just jump down, but, I tore my ACL after, but I'm old.
I tore my ACL after.
So, anyway, it could have been bad.
So, yeah, pretty much fire escape, other than that same 1 or 2 second hang up, crush the rest of it. And now you have finished the car slalom and the fire escape at a pace, you're at 1 minute now. So about 30 seconds per obstacle, which for those that have watched America's Top Dog, navigating the entire fire escape, 3 levels, pace of 10 seconds per level, pretty impressive. A lot of dogs have issues on the fire escape, actually for the exact reasons you named. Yeah. Dead ball, not much going on. They're like, what do you want me to do? So doing it in 30 seconds, again, really impressive job on there. Now you guys come to the wall jump. We have a 3-foot wall jump, 4-foot wall jump, and we'll get to in a second. We changed the course for your wall jump. So flew over the 3-foot wall, no issue, looked beautiful. The 4-foot wall, I'm trying to remember exactly, but I believe the 4-foot wall is he kind of ran towards you for a split. You think that was just like trying to get with you, teammate type thing?
Part of it, he's a smart dog, and he's like, well, if you're running around, I'm going to run around with you.
Why work harder?
Yeah, and just the proximal too. Like, he likes to be right by my side. And so I ran far out.
Why?
And whenever we had done jumps in the past, and I didn't think about this till after, but I'm right by his side and tell him to go over the jump. Where for this, because of just the set and everything else, I had to go kind of far out to the right to do it.
So he's like, let's do this.
So he's like, okay, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
So I just had to redirect him, and he did good.
So same, maybe 1 second. So now if you fixed all these flaws, you'd probably be 5 seconds saved, max at that. So, and now you get to the 5-foot wall. So for those that
by the way, I hate to cut you off. I was doing the math in my head the whole time.
You're like, there's 2 seconds docked.
Yeah.
So now
but it was like amplified. I'm like, that's 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's what I hear from every competitor. I'm like, oh, it was only a 5-second hang up. They're like, oh, it felt like 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So now if you guys are familiar with America's Top Dog, normally it's a 3-foot, 4-foot, 5-foot wall jump.
Yep.
But for their episode, we wanted to change some things, create a little variation. And at the last minute, literally at the last minute, we decided to make the 5-foot not a wall jump, but a wall go under, a crawl under the wall. So how long did you guys find out about that prior to your run?
I don't know, I think we've said that you get a practice run on round 1. And so I got a practice run on it, but we had done a practice round before where he was jumping. So just, once again, associative learning for a dog. It's you got to do things kind of repetitively, and so it was something different that he wasn't expecting.
Done once, essentially.
And then the hole wasn't big enough for him.
He's a big dog.
He was the biggest dog on the thing. And so I was like, they didn't do it where we got a practice run. It was too small. And so I told him, y'all need to make that hole bigger because he's not going to fit. And if you watch when he goes underneath it, he's having to shimmy it a little bit.
It's a little bit of a wiggle for him. So And to be honest, I can't tell from when I was live or from rewatching it. Did you try initially to kind of cast him under, and he just seemed a little confused, and then so and watching it back, that was a very good read and decision on your part, because a lot of people will, in dog training and kind of everything in life, I say will commit to the wrong mistake too long. Where you tried casting him, sending him on his own, maybe for 1-2 seconds max, and you're like, okay, he's not going, so you put him in a down, right? And then you ran around and pretty much lured him under the wall. And I loved, to me, the most impressive thing was how quick you made that decision. Because a lot of people are going to be like, boom, and just stick to that for a while. And you're like, go, no, all right, down, boom. Yeah. So again, that was a really good read and communication on your part, and Mattis reading on that communication. So again, maybe a second.
But I'm a minute behind in my head.
Now you're honestly, 9 minutes in.
Yes. Because that's the other thing is they aired it as I ran first, but I was the last one to run, so I didn't see anyone else's run.
Oh, so you're like,
I have no clue.
We're so far behind now.
Yes.
So yeah, again, maybe a second to max. So again, great read. You downed him, ran around, lured him under, no issue. Hit the rope bridge, no issue whatsoever. Nothing for me to even try to nitpick on that.
Except for me. He had to wait for me on the other side. I was way too slow.
And then you get to the splashdown.
Yeah, man.
If you guys watch this episode, even me, like the picture-in-picture at the bottom, that was real. That was real.
That was cool.
Like, when you guys got to the splashdown, before we actually get in, was that something you planned going into this? And if so, why?
I did. And
just for cool or
no,
necessity or both? Or?
No, it was, and I felt them out just a little bit, but I didn't want to give away what I was doing. When we shot the episodes, they weren't necessarily in the same order that they show.
Yep.
And we were episode 10, and so it was the last episode to be filmed of the regular season, and I knew they had people for the finals already selected. I'm not saying that I made the finals or not made the finals, but I knew if I wanted to make the finals that I had to not just win, but I had to put a stamp on it. And so that was one of the things that I was like, and I also knew that Mattis, so it was a duel, I also know that Mattis, because water was a weakness, which you called ahead of time, sometimes he needs to be encouraged. So if I'm going, I know he's going to go.
So it's kind of a double, double effect. A, I know if I commit, Mattis is going to commit.
Yep.
B, I know we'll look really good doing it. So
I'm glad I didn't belly flop. Like, people have said it was a pretty decent time.
No, it was good.
Yeah, so
and the timing was beautiful. Like you
my gosh.
you guys both were like, he had his 2 paws out, you had your arms out, like. Literally, like that reaction from me. I mean, it was in the moment. Like we don't know when we're being recorded, when we're not. Yeah. It was genuine shock. I'm like, I assumed you're gonna throw a ball, throw a tug, Mattis is gonna jump in, you're gonna run, do whatever you want. Nope. So when I saw, I'm like, oh. And I think during the live thing, I'm like, Kurt, I give that a 10 out of 10 if this was the Olympics.
Well, did you? I don't know if you noticed too. Like Mattis actually hesitated. Like I was running full sprint.
It was very.
But that's why I turn around. Like you hear me as I'm jumping. I'm like, Matt,
you said,
come on.
I heard you say something.
Because I was like, oh, because that would have been horrible if I go and he's just sitting back. He's like, whoa, what is this guy doing?
He's like, you go on ahead. So that was beautiful. If you guys didn't get a chance, you definitely need to watch it. The link's in my bio for all the episodes. But episode 4. Beautiful swan dives into the splashdown. Beautiful run. You hit the buzzer at 1 minute 57.54 seconds. Oh. So when you heard your time, did you have any? Did you have any association with what does that mean? Did I win? Did I lose?
None. Because there's no context for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was the last one to run in the way that they shot it, and so I had no. If I was better than everybody else, like I said, I knew in my mind that. I had left some time on the course, and so I was like, oh crud. I didn't know what to expect, but I think Jamie said something pretty quick.
Okay. So then you're like, wow,
yeah.
That wasn't a 9-minute run.
Right. But I didn't know that there were 9-minute runs.
So to put it in perspective, for your episode specifically, the second place in episode 4 was actually Otto and Wolverine, the underdog, and they were 30 seconds behind you and Mattis. So you guys pretty much took first place by 30 seconds or more, which for everyone that watches American Top Dog, 30 seconds is pretty substantial. I mean, and some of the obstacles, 30 seconds can be first place or last place. So by the next closest person to you being a 30-second spread, those 5 seconds of hiccups didn't damage you too much. So you guys crushed round 1. Like I said, the second place was 30 seconds behind you, and then it only gets a further spread from there. And to really put it in perspective for you guys are episode 4, which means 20 dogs have won at this point. You have the second fastest time in round 1 overall out of 20 dogs, which is only second to fan favorite and a good friend of mine, Maker the Border Collie, who came out about 13 seconds quicker than you guys. But where you can kind of see that time being made up, those 13 seconds, is he got to go over the wall, where you guys killed a few seconds going under. But really where it made it for him is Maker's 3, 4, 5 foot rope bridge, jump from half court, land on the other side of splashdown and hit the buzzer himself.
He's up like the dog no further than I did.
Literally, So far, we're 4 episodes in, 5th episode this Wednesday at 9. You guys have the second fastest, or to put it in a better perspective, you have the fastest time out of all police dogs at this point. So you have the fastest time out of all police dogs in 4 episodes. So definitely got to be proud of that run.
Especially with these little legs, man.
Yeah, there you go. Now we move on to the boneyard. You find out you're advanced and you're pretty excited, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So to me, I knew, because I always say this every time I do an interview, my job as the host of America's Top Dog is I spend hours a day when their episode's going pretty much stalking the competitors. If you guys ever saw the Netflix series You, that's pretty much what I do with the 5 competitors, is I'm on your Instagram, going back years, watching videos, watching pictures. I'm Googling Canine Mattis, Alpharetta PD, Mark Tapp, and just figuring out as much as I can. So now I know, and I can sound intelligent when I commentate and say, I don't know, I haven't seen this dog do too much water training on his Instagram. I'm calling it into question, and I can speak intelligently. So I knew going into the boneyard, like, this should be where you guys accelerate.
Yeah.
I knew you had $2.7 million of narcotics and money seized off the streets. I knew you had 200 plus arrests. I knew all this. So I'm like, this should be their strong point. So that's how I felt. How did you feel going into round 2?
Well, and you've said it in previous ones when you've talked to the people, it's such a unique odor finding experience that's higher than any certification that you see. Yeah. Like, and I tell people, it looks like an interior find. Right? And so interior find, if I have an interior find, it means that we probably have a search warrant for the location. And if my dog goes in and alerts, I call an area and I say, he alerted in this area, check this area.
Somewhere in this dresser area.
Correct. The other thing that you have to, so in the boneyard, you have to find the individual item. And I remember Kurt saying in the living room, there was 30 individual items.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not just, you can't just alert
very pinpointed
in an item or in an area and say, check this area. Yeah. The other thing that you don't realize about the boneyard is we were outside, and it is built out of wood slatted material, and there's cameraman running around everywhere, and there's airflow. You actually call it in one of the rooms.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, it's in a canyon in the middle of LA at 2 a.m. So the wind's blowing, it's cold, it's open, so the scent and the odor's getting pushed. And
so it was, regardless of how good I know my dog is, it was intimidating.
You knew it's a challenging area, and you aren't ready to be too cocky about it.
Oh, no, and like you had done other research, and you know all the people that I was going up against. I don't. I have no idea.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I have no
So maybe I'm going against a USPCA 7-time detection champion.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, in my mind, that's...
And we do have some of those that are on the show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's phenomenal teams. On my episode, there's phenomenal teams, so I have no clue.
So
and you don't get a run through on the boneyard.
Yeah,
there's no run through.
So that's a good clarification point. Is round 1 you get a run through, round 3 you get a run through, but when you guys watch them go into the boneyard in America's Top Dog, that's the first time they're going into the boneyard is when that buzzer sounds and they walk in.
Yep.
So you're confident in you're confident in Mattis, you're confident in the team, but you know it's a challenging course essentially.
Yeah.
So you guys, and I call attention to this, so you guys are in the boneyard and you're waiting, you see the audience behind you, you're waiting for your buzzer to say start, and you have Mattis do his trademark high five.
Yep.
So what's that about?
Well, so what it is one of the things that, like I said, in the first round, I noticed he was super hyped up, and he took off after the cameraman. And so I wanted to change his mindset and calm him down a little bit, and I wanted to be cool. Like it was a 2, and the other
probably more so the latter.
Maybe no, but I wanted to calm him down. The other thing that I like, there's not a lot of crowd interaction. And I wanted to kind of get them in.
A fan fave, like a fan.
Well, yeah, they were there, and I really appreciated because it was shot late at night.
Yeah, it's like 2 a.m.
I appreciated people, and this is legitimate. I wasn't just trying to like just be cool, but I appreciated them being there.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to give something for them too.
Give them a little show.
Yeah, interacted with us.
And I actually called out. If you guys go back and watch the episode, they air this. I see that because normally when all competitors, even if they're a 7-time USPCA first place narcotics champion, if you talk to them about the boneyard, they're like, yeah, I was intimidated, I was nervous. So most people, we see them just like, I'm just waiting. And then I saw that, and they air it. So I looked to Kurt and I'm like, this team isn't just trying to win, they're trying to win in style. And they kept that in the episode.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, like, most people sweating and they're nervous, and you're like, "Hey, buddy, high five!" You know, like you're trying to have fun with it.
Well, and that's so. As a trainer, you'll respect this. And for the people out there that don't know, dogs have something called a vermal nasal organ, where they can detect the hormones that you emit. And so, if I'm all nervous and tense, they feel it, and it's going to affect the way they perform. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I was trying to chill him out. I'm trying to chill me out. Trying to be cool for the
you got all this.
I'm doing all of it. But that's being a handler.
Yeah.
Like
that's
you
real.
know, being
that's
a real
handler,
a good handler in the field.
You're gonna have
you've
stress.
Got to know that.
Yeah.
But you have to manage that.
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to do.
So it looked really great as always. Mission accomplished. And so now you guys go into the boneyard. Another thing when you guys walk in I really liked is your approach. A lot of handlers, they know there's 5 minutes on the clock. They know it's a maze. They know it's 3,000. They know all this. So that buzzer sounds and they're just take off running. Were you guys kind of chilled in and pretty much treated it like a training exercise?
It was a dope search.
Yeah, you treat it like a normal training exercise, which everyone knows to do, but 90% of teams have a hard time actually doing it when it's there on the platform. They're like, yeah, I know, just treat it like a normal search, and it's like, go! But you guys actually did. So Mattis goes in, your first room you come into is the bedroom, and it's on the letter A on the dresser next to the bed. And I still remember, I can picture in my head, he looked like it was training. Like he did a sniff and dropped into the most beautiful final response sit. Like,
it was beautiful.
Yeah, it looked like he was on his 18th rep in a scent room. Like it was just textbook perfect. And I just did a watch party last week with my good friend Dustin Wynn, who's one of the Special Forces Canine trainers, and we watched your episode together. And when that happened, he's like, dude, that was it looked like training. Like you would never know it was like a competition. So what do you attribute that to?
Well, can I ruin a little bit of the magic real quick?
Sure.
He did. His alert, and you saw it on the TV, like he put his nose on the A and his butt hit the ground. It really was. He's that good of a dog. Now, what they cut out was, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I pulled on the lamp that was chained down to the desk.
I do remember that, yeah.
There was a lamp. There's two things
on the desk.
It's
like hardwired. It's not actually
it is chained to the desk. Yeah. And I start yanking on it, and the Marine in me kicks in. I'm like, I'll rip it off the desk. Right? And then I'm like, oh, wait, there's a letter A that he actually touched.
Yeah.
That's probably mobile.
I forgot about that until you mentioned it, because we laughed about it.
Yeah, but no, I tell people all the time, he makes me look a lot better than I am, and he does. He's such a good dog, but a lot of it comes from being consistent in training, and I think John, with Maker said something similar. Is you're always consistent and you expect the same response, no matter the circumstances, all the time.
Should be consistent.
And so that's why he knows that to get rewarded, he has to sit and stare at the item. And so that's just the way that we train. Not saying that that's the right way or whatever, but that's the way that we do it. And so he knew, okay, this is what we're doing.
And the cool thing, and I always talk about this, is for Mattis, for the dog, all these dogs, is it literally just is a training exercise. They don't know. They don't know it's a competition. They don't know it's a maze. They don't know it's 3,000 square feet. They don't know they have 5 minutes. Those are all things you guys know, which in turn a lot of times affects the dog, but it doesn't affect the dog directly.
Right.
So now you found your first item in 30 seconds. And to back up just really quick, Canine Fuse and Canine Riddick went before you guys, and they both went 4 for 5 in the boneyard, which is actually really, really good in the boneyard, finding 4 items. Did you know that going in? Okay.
No clue.
I was just saying, because that have probably added a little bit of pressure knowing that.
No clue.
Because only 2 best advanced, and the teams before you found 4.
I will say this is going into it, I knew because there's talk, right? There's chatter in the hotel that we're staying at. Is about all the people that were finding all 5 items and how quick they were doing it and all this. So the pressure on me was we need to
get all 5.
We need to get all 5 and we need to do it lightning
Sweep
fast.
the board.
Yeah.
So you got your first one. I knew that, and obviously I was pulling for you guys. And Fuse and Riddick went before you, and they got 4 items. I'm like, ooh, 4 items, man.
Awesome.
That's a high standard to set.
Yeah.
So I was like, they got to get 4 or more in a faster time. So you guys are on pace now. You do your first item in 30 seconds. Of course, in my head, I'm doing the math. I'm like, okay, so if they keep this pace, they'll get all 5 in 2.5 minutes. So I'm trying to calculate all that. Then you guys move to the luggage room. And Mattis, you're kind of searching on the second shelf in the luggage room. And you grab the item. I forget what the item was.
It was a backpack, a camo backpack?
Yeah, camo backpack. And it was correct as well.
Well, and that was one, though, I walked in and I changed, and you actually picked up on it in the last room, but I let him do everything off lead, independent, and there I saw everything together, and I was like, oh, I got to change this up real quick. And so I detailed, and he made it so clear.
Yeah.
But he went to, it was a higher alert, and so he was sticking his nose
kind
inside
of laid
the bag.
on it. Yeah.
There was no, and you couldn't really see it from the camera angle. There was no doubt whatsoever what item it was.
So he pretty much laid on the bag almost.
It was cool.
And now you've registered your second item in 55 seconds. So now you're 2 items in at under a minute. Yeah. In your mind, you're probably 4 minutes in at this point. And now you get to the bathroom. Yeah. And a lot of dogs have trouble in our bathroom because we try to make it like an actual bathroom. A lot of scents. We have toilet plungers, a lot of stuff going on, lotion, soap dispensers, all kinds of stuff. So a lot of scents for scent discrimination. Mattis is walking through, and I remember, if you actually watched the episode, I'm like, right there's a head pop from Mattis, and literally a quarter of a second after I say it, you're like, oh! And I'm like, and Sergeant Tappan picks up on it too. And again, I always say, I make this extremely clear in every episode. If you guys watch the episodes, I normally call the alert before the handler, but it's so much easier for me to. Because I'm just watching that dog, and that's it. I'm watching the dog, and that's all I'm doing. And I'm not competing. I'm not running around. I'm not timed. I'm not in a maze. I'm not handling the dog. So I always make that very clear because some of the trainers are like, dude, you call the alerts before the handlers. Like, you're on it. I'm like, yes, but to be fair, that's because that's all I have to worry about. If you put me in that room with all that, he would probably call the alerts, or 99.9% more likely before I would, because I'm worried about 50 things and the dog, where I'm just worried about the dog. So, and with all that said, with pretty much all the handlers, it's fractions of a second later. So again, that shows you how good they are at processing all those stressors and still reading their dog really well. So I'm like, right there, I see a head pop, and then as soon as I finish the sentence, you're reaching and grabbing. I'm like, and Sergeant Tappan picks up on it. And now that gives you your third item in 1:20. So now you're kind of shaving time at each one, because it was a 30-second pace, now a sub 1 minute pace, now a sub 120 pace. So you're at 3 items. A minute 20.
Yeah.
Are you feeling really good at this point?
No.
No. You're still sweating.
I don't know what the time is because you don't, in the boneyard, it's not like I have a watch in here. They're not running the time, and there's no big clock that I can look up at, and I have no idea how fast other people went.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So, and I don't know where the next room is.
Or if you'll just run into a wall.
Yes.
So now you guys move in to the office, right?
Yes.
So far in the boneyard, it's been as flawless as a run as a run in the boneyard could be. 3 items, just nailing them. Mattis is crushing it. You're reading it. You're picking up on it. Now you guys move into the office, and here's where you really have your first issue in the boneyard. We have the big dresser, and Mattis is really into that dresser. He even sits a time or two there.
And I totally get why.
Yeah, and I see you, the cool thing is I see you obviously see him sit, but you're kind of second guessing it felt like, because you're not immediately reaching and grabbing an item. Are you trying to wait for him to kind of pinpoint it a little bit better, or what?
I was, and that's, in the living room, there were so many items that were there, and as soon as he walked in, I saw behavior changes. It was one of those that, okay, I know there's an odor in here, and I kind of knew the area that it was in from the beginning, but I couldn't get a good read of right where it was.
And this goes back to what you said earlier about on a real search, you would say, hey guys, there's something over here, and now it's done.
Right.
Where here you got to say, it's the pencil sharpener, it's the vase, it's the letter, it's so that's kind of what you were trying to do is, all right, I know it's here, but which item is it?
Right.
And I believe you grabbed the basket mail carrier thing, and it turned out to be wrong. So when you flip that switch and it turned red, what's going? Or did you kind of know that you were just guessing?
No. It was. It's a horrible feeling when it turns red.
Sure.
It does not feel good. And it's like, okay, because what you start doing is you're trying to process what the dog is thinking. And being a good handler or trainer, that's the hardest part often, is because we're supposed to be the smart
interpreters.
And that's why it's a team, right?
Yeah.
Is because we can't the dog can't just do the job by itself. Yeah. We have to be a good team.
They said, hey, I told you it was here. Now it's on you.
Right, and I was hoping really that he was going to do all the work for me like he did in the first 3 rooms. And
it's like, hey, idiot, right here.
Yeah. So this time I had to actually enter into the equation, and that was like,
wait,
okay.
So the first time that you had to enter in the equation is where you had problems.
All the time. I tell our training standard when I train our unit is what I say is I want to make our dog so good it doesn't matter how stupid I am.
No, I agree. Yeah.
That's what I train.
You can give them the dog the worst handler in the world, and they'll still do great.
Yep, and that's what I want. That's that's
a good training.
That's
standard.
what Mattis is, because I know how I am. So,
we'll get to that in a little bit. So it turns red, your heart sinks a little bit.
Oh, yes.
And now you run back in, and I believe now you... I think I remember, because you detailed him a little going in.
Because there's so many items.
Yep. But now you got it wrong, so you let him do an independent
Get out of the equation.
Yep. And I remember in one of your interviews, you said, I let Mattis do what Mattis does best. And then I even called that out. I'm like, well, Sergeant Tappan is... do what he says. He's letting Mattis do what Mattis does best. Use his nose and search. You step back. Mattis sniffs around, and I called out on there. He hits the.
It was beautiful.
Not the dresser. The what is that?
Coffee table.
Table. And I'm
which I ignored the entire time.
And I literally say during the run, I say, "Oh, Mattis is showing a little bit of interest here at the coffee table," and then. He drops into a down.
It was the most beautiful alert
I think
of the whole thing.
I even say, I'm like, beautiful, during the run.
You see, what I liked about it was he went by it, he had a head snap,
pop,
then he worked the scent cone, touched his nose on it, and then BAM! Yeah. And I was like, oh! I can't get that wrong now.
Yes. Again, so now Mattis doing all the work for you, and you get it right.
Yes.
But no, it was beautiful. It literally, kind of like his first alert. It could not have looked better. So he drops into a down, you grab it, and it turned out to be right. And now you're 4 items in and 2 minutes, 50 seconds. And essentially that's all you needed
But I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that at the time, correct. But the first two, which was Fuse and Riddick, who did amazing, they both found 4 items, but it took them like 4 minutes and some change. So by you, only 4 teams going there, you instantly beat out their time. Yeah. So now that comes down to you and Wolverine. So you're automatically now advancing to round 3 because you beat out the first 2 people that went based off time. You all found 4 items, but you did it 2 minutes quicker than them.
The interesting thing about that though is I didn't know that, and so coming out, you see, like I thought I lost. Like I totally
just like round 1.
Yeah, and I come out and Jamie was talking to me, and she was kind of messing with me a little bit too. Like she kind of did the American Idol drag it out.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if she did.
Like, how do you think you did?
Yeah, because once again, I didn't see the times that they had posted. I had no idea, and so I come out and I'm like, because I'm like, they cut it out of the actual show, but I'm like, I should have read my dog better. I started being super critical of myself because I thought I messed up, which I did. You know?
Oh, I mean, yeah, mistakes are gonna happen for sure, especially in this competition. So you had no clue until she told you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're advancing.
And that's why I was like, you saw me I was way too emotional, but I got emotional there. And the reason is, and you might talk about it a little bit later too, but the reason is because I didn't want to let the dog down. Yeah. Like, I have the highest respect for my dog. I think he's amazing and really does make me look better, and I didn't want to let him down.
Yeah, so when you don't want to be the reason. You don't want him to lose essentially because of you.
Right, right.
Which is amazing, and yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit too. Okay. But the emotional part, though, I think like on Twitter, like so many people was tagging me on Twitter and blowing up Twitter during that run, saying that they absolutely love that. And I think what a lot of people don't realize, and that shows to a lot of people, is how close the handlers are with their dogs and how much of a bond it is and how much the communication and the family and how much time you spend with them. And I mean, you know, most of these handlers spend literally more time with their dogs than they do their wives and their kids. And so I think a lot of people that maybe didn't know that just got to see like, wow, like that, it's like, this is amazing, this is beautiful, but so many people were commenting about like how awesome that was and how much they loved that. And so yeah, I thought that was great, and I think everyone in America did too. So you guys find out you're moving on to round 3. Obviously, you're super excited.
Yes.
Mattis is like, why is this guy so excited? Going into round 3, did you have anything that you were worried about? Of the obstacles?
No, the spider web a little bit. It just because you can get hung up in it. Like it's one that even if
and that's where him being a bigger dog is a disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
A dog like Minion just runs under him.
Right, but I do know that he's excellent at navigating. Like he is full bore go, and he will make his way through it. But I was kind of worried that because it was like they're bungee, and I was kind of worried that he might get wrapped up in it or something like that. So that was a concern. And then the other concern was the boxes going up to the second level is just getting caught in it or going off the side or if he lost focus. So those are my 2 main, like, okay, these could present problems.
A little bit of an issue.
Yeah. And me getting through the window. Like that was me getting through that because I was like, I know he's going to get through it easily, but I could see me
get a running start,
face planting into it or something like that.
And you guys were going against, to back up a little, Canine Fuse,
who I love.
Great team. Deputy Cole and Canine Fuse, who is a 4-year-old Belgian Malinois. And I met this dog and hung out with this team before, and that dog, that's a legit Malinois. He's a legit dog that you do not want to be on the wrong end of. Fast, athletic, quick, great handler. So me with you guys going in, I'm like, oh, he's going against the Malinois, which of course Malinois are lightning bolts. So I'm like, man, they really got to be on it here. So she went first, right?
Yep.
Because I genuinely don't know this. Did you get to see her run or no?
Nope.
So you have no idea.
I have no clue.
She could have done 40 seconds or 18 minutes, and you don't know.
Clue.
So you just have to treat it like your lives depending on it.
Absolutely.
Essentially. So you guys get to the starting line. Are you more nervous going into round 3 than you were 1 and 2, or less nervous? Because now, more's at stake almost, because it's like, well, now we've made it this far.
Yeah.
So what was your kind of thought or mindset going in around 3?
I say it was more nervous is a good word, but I'd say focused nervous. Like it was like, okay, this is why we came.
Yeah.
This is what we want to do, and
don't lose it here.
Don't lose it here. And back to the song, because I literally was playing that song over and over in my trailer before I went out because I didn't get to watch. And so it's I like high chances that I might lose. Another line is like, I like swimming with sharks that haven't fed yet.
Nice.
Right? So I like going into a situation where the odds are stacked against you, and you gotta, if you think you have a chance, you better kill yourself out there.
Yeah.
And so that's what exactly was going through my mind is be your best because your dog deserves it.
Oh, that's a very good way to look at it. So you're right on that platform. They give you the go. You hit the first obstacle of the doghouse. Round 3 is the knockdown.
Yep.
Which, again, this is where Mattis has a little bit more of an advantage. It's a 135-pound wall that pretty much, if you give it a decent bump, it topples.
Yep.
You cast Mattis to the wall. He knocks it down. No issue. You both get through the window without really any issues. So I'm sure you're like, yes, I didn't look like an idiot. So. Spider web, not that I recall, really no issue, right? Pretty seamless, pretty quick. And I even called attention to it. Just like you said, I said, well, here, Mattis being a 100-pound dog, this may be a little bit more of an issue for him because he's bigger, so it's easier to get tangled up into things. Mm-hmm. But again, no real issue. You both navigated it. Low crawl, no real issue.
Because I'm short.
For those that missed it, Mark just ran under it, and
I had to do this, Nick.
He had to drop a little bit. They both went through it. Boxes up, which is one of your concerns going in. No issue that I remember, right? Then the ductwork, no issue once again. And keep in mind, I tried to nitpick on these things, but there were no issues to even try to nitpick. It was pretty flawless, or it was flawless. Then you get to door breach number 1, which, based off fire escape and pulling your attic down, you probably felt pretty confident in that, right?
Yeah.
So no issue, door breach 1, door breach 2, no issue again. So pretty much up at this point, even with me trying to nitpick, it was flawless. It was a flawless run up until this point. You run down, Ruben, amazing.
Wait, time out. The stairs down. That was something I didn't add about because they're not just stairs. Like
it's a big gap.
It's a big gap. Yeah. So that's another. I was scared I was going to eat it.
You're like, don't look like an idiot on television.
Yes, but I did.
But he did. So now Ruben, our amazing decoy, is waiting. As a recap for those that don't know, the handlers have to send their dogs after Ruben the decoy, do a bite, and then at the handler's cue, they have to verbally recall back to the platform. As soon as the dog's paws touch the platform, the time stops, and that's the run. So up until this point, you guys have a literal flawless run. Killed the doghouse. You send Mattis. He does an amazing bite, as Mattis does. I think it was the back of the tricep.
Yep, great presentation.
Great presentation from Ruben. Now you walk us through the rest.
Well, so... Can I throw out the excuses?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
We had worked recall over and over and over again before we went, and it was flawless. It looked so good, and he was popping off. And then right before the TV show, like literally the day before we left, there is someone who was barricaded. It was an aggravated assault. He had tore up some people in his house with a baseball bat, and he was inside his room barricaded, and we didn't know if he was still armed. And so Mattis went in, real life, right?
This is
realized real. Dog is not just for the TV show, but we had worked. Yeah,
this isn't a scenario. This is a real situation.
I send Mattis in. He hits the guy, and then he comes right back out because we've been working the recall so much.
Because of the show.
Yeah, and I started yelling to the guy, and I was going to drag him out so it was safe for everyone. And Mattis thinks I'm recalling, so he comes back off. And so I yell at Mattis. I'm like, no, Fooey, get back in there. And so the last thing in his mind before the TV show, because we don't practice the
fight kind of a verbal correction, not a correction, but a verbal correction for outing.
Right, like, no, don't get off. He's like, we've been training getting off for the past month.
And now once.
Right. Yeah. And you just told me I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
And so when he went, you could tell that he was like, I stay in the fight. He's like, wait, you want me to come on?
Now
so there was
conflict.
There was
confliction.
Yeah, there was confliction in his mind for sure. And so I thought I was gonna burst a blood vessel if you rewatch it. Like I was like, ah!
You're like, I'm about. So you tell him out. He doesn't.
Yeah, I Los, which is my command. Los, Mattis, Los.
So did you give it a little more inflection in the voice the second time?
Well, so I changed it. So what I tried to do was make
like
it
a heel.
Yeah, I called him to a heel.
Yeah. So made it obedience versus out.
Correct. And he still was like, nah. And so I threw in a fooey.
He's like, I learned my lesson yesterday.
I threw in a fooey Mattis Los. And as soon as you see that, then all of a sudden, boop, just let's go. He's like, oh yeah.
So so I actually know the first time Mark gave the out to Mattis till the time that Mattis actually popped off was right around 4 seconds.
Okay.
So for you in that moment, were you trying to calculate, or did it feel like it was like 18 minutes?
it felt like it was an eternity. I wasn't trying to calculate. I was trying to get my dog. Like that was the singular focus was get off the bike now.
So in your mind, it was like forever.
Oh,
He was just hanging on through dinner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it was 4 seconds from the first out to Mattis actually letting go, returning to the platform. As always, great job to our decoy, Ruben. When you have a 100-pound dog hanging from you and you trying to stay very stationary, very stagnant.
He did so good.
Yeah, it can be difficult. And for those that don't know why that's important is if a handler is trying to call his dog out and that handler's giving movement,
decoy is giving movement.
Yeah, and the decoy is giving movement. It keeps it fun and engaging and prey movement for the dog. So they want to stay on it longer. So the easiest way is to kind of kill the movement. So great job on that, as always, on stopping the movement from the decoy. And he returns to the platform in a time of 1 minute, 21.3 seconds. So at this point, do you know you've won?
Nope, you have to, they tell you to, and this is the funny thing too, is they tell you to look at a color scheme of lights.
After all this is going through
After all this has happened, and I have no clue
what that
color scheme of light is supposed to be.
You're like, does that mean I won or lost?
I have no idea. I had no idea if I
won. So you saw the light change, but you don't know what it meant.
Yeah, and then I think Jamie Little, like, mouthed the words "you won" or something like that.
She's like, "Hey, idiot!"
No, well, she was standing over there, and she was like, "You won," and I'm like, and so you see it just hit me.
Yeah. And that's the great video you guys saw where you reached down, you grabbed Mattis.
I think it was just a collapse. Like it was just like it was just my body was like It
was just like a real raw emotion.
Yeah.
Like, we did this. I didn't let you down.
And it lasted. That's the other thing is that moment to me lasted longer than anything we had done. Like that, I felt like I was in that moment with Mattis with my head on his. It felt like an eternity, and eventually I feel like they said, "Hey, you need to come over," because it was just like I wanted to be there with him.
Yeah.
So it was a cool experience.
Yeah, it was. I think everyone loved that, seeing how excited and emotional and proud you were of Mattis and yourself, and just it was an amazing run. It was the fastest, definitely the fastest run of that night. But that also was the second fastest run in America's Top Dog history in round 3. So, and here's the crazy thing, is the only team that had a faster run so far in America's Top Dog was Canine Falco, and his run was literally 0.95 seconds faster.
And he had a beautiful outfit.
Oh, instant.
It was incredible.
So, again, if Mattis would have outed, you would have had the fastest run by about 3 seconds. It's pretty much a tie almost for the fastest run of round 3 of the doghouse. And so now you guys know you won. You're America's Top Dog for episode 4. was it knowing that? Was it really easy to sleep that night, or was it hard to sleep that night because the emotion and the excitement and the adrenaline? Or
well, it's kind of an interesting feeling because it's like everything just shuts down. It's not like there's a party after, and then I'm also like I'm hoping I make the finals, and so I'm kind of waiting on a call for that, and it's just people are trying to get home because it's 3 a.m.
Oh yeah,
and so they're busting us out of there. So there's not a lot of glitz and limelight or anything else. It's just like
it's like good job, get on your bus.
I mean, I was super proud of my dog.
Yeah.
But two, I was hoping that we did good enough that they would consider us for the finals too.
Yeah.
So, which we still don't know if.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll find out soon. But yeah, well, yeah, I know whether they'll do or not, but hopefully, you guys will find out soon. But yeah, so you guys definitely lived up to the hype. As I always joke when I talk about them, I say, they live up to their Instagram hype. Everyone loves them and follows them and likes them on Instagram and huge following, but it actually shows, if the millions of dollars seized and the hundreds of arrests and all that wasn't enough for you to show that they're the real deal, then seeing them compete and destroy America's Top Dog definitely seals the fate for them. So if we get a season 2, which we still don't know, and I genuinely don't know about that, keep watching, sharing, tweeting, hashtagging, all of that. Is it something, how was your first experience? Would you guys want to come back?
Absolutely, 100%, unequivocally would want to be a part of it.
Now, one thing
Please.
I'm not going to beg. Please! One thing I always ask competitors, just because I find interesting, is did our course on America's Top Dog make you like, ooh, we need to add this into our training or change the training or incorporate, or no?
Yeah, so I think I said it earlier, but I was super impressed with the course.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was fantastic. But the thing that I liked about the course, and I told people this every chance I get, is it tests whether that dog will trust you and what kind of bond you have with your dog. Because there's certain things that you just could not train for, and so you have to have this communication with your dog that he understands what you want. Like the wall that he had to go under, right? It was changing things up. The fire escape. I've never had to do a fire escape
and never will.
Right? But it's an applicable skill just because I need to be able. If you have that much control over your dog, you're going to be so
anything in the real world environment.
It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
So I love it, and yeah, it'll change our training just to make us where we're always building that trust with our dog.
And the few things I like about what's funny, and I've said this before, is when I was first brought on or talked to about doing America's Top Dog. I literally, and I told them this, I was like, oh, it's going to be like this cheesy, this Hollywood production crew is going to make this cheesy dog training course. So I was like, well, before I agree to it, I want to see the course. And then they showed me the same layout. I'm like, wow, this is actually super legit.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize, and I'm sure you can vouch for this, and Patriot Canine, go give her a follow. That's Minions owner from episode 3.
Who I love. Amanda.
Is, at least to me, the course, when you're there, looks a lot bigger than it does on television. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. I can see that.
Like the fire escape. I feel like it looks a lot bigger. And as I always mention, there's things, there's external factors that's going on that you guys watching at home really don't get a feel for either. Like there's a screaming audience. There's literally hundreds of cameramen, production staff, assistants, showrun, all this stuff's going on around this team and dogs, lighting crews running up and down. So like what you guys see on TV, there's a lot going on around these dogs. So the dogs and handlers have to pretty much block out all of those external noises and views and sights and sirens and lights and camera and just all of that and just pretty much treat it like it doesn't exist.
Right.
And to me, that's one of the really cool things that I really wish people at home could really get a feel for.
Right.
And then the other thing I talk about, my brother was actually a Ohio State trooper and on the Canine unit there. And, we will talk about the show. He loves the show. All of the guys at OSP love the show. And one of the things that he talks about is he's like, oh man, like all those dogs, seem to have issues on the out a little bit. And he's not saying it from a critical. He's just like, what's going on? And then I told him.
Back. I have to do my trademark. I have to do what is up the Insta.
What?
Oh, I'm gonna say that. Holy crap! Sorry.
Cut us off at the 1 hour mark. So anyway, as I was saying,
It does not seem like 1 hour.
Yeah,
with
it
you.
does.
It does not. I'm gonna back this up a little bit.
One of the things that, so they love the show, all the OSP, Ohio State Troopers love. But one of the things, he's like, yeah, it seems like a lot of the dogs have issues like on the verbal out. And when I explained, he's like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, what you got to consider is in a training environment. Like if I'm in a suit, you bring Mattis, you tell him to bite, he bites, you tell him out, he outs. That happens, a few times, and that's kind of a training. I'm like, but what people fail to realize is these guys are here for like 6-7 hours total. They do round one, so the dog's doing all this work, right? Yeah. And then they're iced down for like an hour. Then they do
hour.
Or more, actually more than that, yeah. Then they do round two. The dogs do all this work, and then they're iced down for another hour or two. Then they get to round 3. They do all this work, and finally a decoy pops out.
Right.
And the dog's like, man, I've been working, I've been doing obstacles, I've been grinding, I've been doing all the things this idiot's told me to do. Yeah, I've been traveling, I've been flying, I've been in a hotel, I've been in a car. And finally, after 3 days and 8 hours of being here and doing all this work, finally a decoy appears.
Yes.
So it's like, so that's one of the things that people have to consider. It's like, they've done all of this work, and finally at the end, this decoy pops out, the thing they love most, their ultimate high-value reward, finally appears after all of this.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, oh yeah, that like, on TV, it's easy to not look at it that way. Because you just see, they do round 1, round 2, decoy should be a nice, easy verbal out, and that's it. But you got to think for the dog, all that build-up and work and all of that leading up to that, it adds a little bit of a factor, I feel like, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's like with your brother, like I have the same reaction. I'm like, he needs to be, and I still think, I need to be quicker on the out. But there are tons of other factors, and it comes back to being a good dog trainer. Is you try to expose your dog to as much as you possibly can. But there's certain scenarios you just can't be ready for.
Yeah, and the one thing I love about America's Top Dog for especially real world police handlers and police canines is in a safe training environment, it induces stress and excitement and things that, as we know, are hard to replicate. When you're like, all right guys, we're gonna do training this Tuesday with the team, be on the field at, you know what I mean? You're like, search, good boy, balls flying, bite, out, good boy. So like, that's the one thing that I like about it, is those small things that I feel like a lot of people don't get in training, is that excitement, that heart racing, the rush, you know what I mean? So all those and now how does not only the dog work with that, but more importantly, how does the handler work with that stress and competition and maze and time and national team and all those things going on in a training environment? They get more than that, as you know, in a real world environment.
Yeah, you can't
when you're on a real world track with an armed suspect, but to me, that's the closest you can kind of get to replicating that.
I agree.
In a training, in a safe, sterile training environment, which is what I like about it. So, so now, do you have anything to add before we take some questions?
It was awesome. We absolutely loved it, and like I said, I was so proud of my dog and the chance that I got to be able to show people, and he lived up to the standard that I thought he was. Because I've said from there was
you always knew he was great. Just America had to wait 4 episodes to find out.
Yeah, but it was it was validating too. Yeah. Is like I wasn't an idiot.
It's not just me.
I wasn't an idiot. I picked him out, and I thought there was something special from him when I picked him out.
Yeah. So. And it's been validated in many ways at this point. Real world competition, everything. So. Yeah, and I'm glad you guys did well too, because I set you guys a standard so high going into it that I didn't want you guys to make me look like an idiot.
Oh, well, there you
go. No, but yeah, amazing dog, amazing team, amazing handling, pretty much beautiful.
Aww.
So,
like your eyes.
So hopefully we can have you guys back for our season finale, where the top 6 teams compete in the season finale. So stay tuned and find out. So now, if you guys want, we will take some questions. It can be for myself, can be for Mark, can be about Mattis, can be about the show, whatever you guys want. Can be about none of that. So now we'll get a little closer and actually start reading some of the comments.
Oh, thank you.
New Flab Lover says, "Why, Mark? I'll let you answer this. Why didn't Raider do this? I probably know why, but I'll tell you."
Well, we're actually training Raider for some bite work.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. But she's too sweet, man. She doesn't have just that prey, go after the decoy type thing. She can see it as a game and as a toy, but she just doesn't have the aggression in it. Her detection works so spot on. She's super agile, super fast. Mm-hmm. She could be great. And it's just kind of working. If we play that as just a game, we might be able to get her up for
prey and fun and
Canine Gunner Tactical. I can't answer that question.
Let's see. We're both reading through our phones. Mark's live on his phone as well. Yeah. Coco the Chihuahua says Mattis is the most adorable dog I've ever seen so far.
So that's the other thing in selection of Mattis. Like I didn't select him because he was good looking, but it doesn't hurt.
Not the same reason the police department selected you then.
Oh, Nick, thank you. That's Georgia Police Canine Foundation is the charity that I chose. So they're saying big thanks. You guys are welcome. You do awesome work down there. So if you haven't checked them out, please check them out. They're getting training for departments. They get medical care for dogs that have retired, and they get vests and all kinds of stuff for dogs that are still active.
And I actually told Mark that I was planning on coming to the June event for you guys. So
hopefully I'll be there too.
I appreciate the invite. Let's see. Lula Cobb says, when you were traveling for the show, where was Mattis?
They bought him a seat, and he was in the, so I'd be middle seat, he was window seat. So he was on the ground.
The separator.
I was the separator between anything else that might happen. And he was great traveling. He was fantastic. He just chilled on the floor the whole time. And that's a long flight from Georgia to California, too.
Otto entered the room.
What's up, Otto?
He says, look at these two.
Good
What's up?
Dude right there.
Otto had Wolverine, who had the second fast time of round one next to Mattis. That was a good one.
Weakness. Oh, what does it say? I lost it on my sweatshirt. What weaknesses you as a handler? I'm trying to understand. What was a weakness you had as a handler but became a strength from working with Mattis? He's one that really makes you look better as a handler. So he doesn't expose weaknesses. He can hide weaknesses, which is kind of it can be a bad thing. But one of the things that I learned with Mattis was building the trust and removing conflict more than anything else. Like there's a lot of the trust is key, and I harp on. I said it on a live the other day, but a lot of times we're counterintuitive in the way that we approach police training. Is we will dissolve some of the trust that we have because we'll cap drives, we'll ask them to go do something, we'll beat them up for doing it. Compulsion, too much compulsion in the wrong context. Where you can build that trust and reward them for doing what you want. So a lot of it was that building the trust with him and things that I learned from different trainers that I really respect.
Good answer. MJ Mina says, are they going to make the final competition live? I can answer that no, because it's already been filmed. So all these episodes, so you guys know, I've said this before, but we filmed America's Top Dog 6 months ago. So it's just now making its way to the air. So everything's been filmed for quite some time at this point.
I had a good one over here. They asked me if I named the dog. And yes, I named the dog. The dog's name actually was Cayman to start off with, and my son's name is Caden, so I didn't want to be yelling at my dog and for him to get confused. And I have a high respect for General James Mad Dog Mattis. So there you go. Semper Fidelis.
Wolf Bitch Mama says, I need Mattis to be my dog's baby daddy.
A lot of requests. He gets almost as many requests as Nick White does.
Let's see. What else we got? Lee Terry says, Wait, where'd it go? Will we start announcing the charities that were picked by the winners? I think they do, right?
Yeah, at the end.
At the very end at the bottom, they do that. I thought they did. Let's see. What else we got? Mattis has a titanium tooth. Why is that?
Early on, when I picked him in training, he chipped his tooth. And it was week 1. They said, we'll replace the dog. I said, no, you will not.
You will replace the
tooth. Get it capped. But the thing that it made was he couldn't go along with the class. I had to train him on the weekends.
Oh, wow.
And so he was originally supposed to be a personal protection dog. And so a lot of the foundation, Cody Talent had put a lot of foundation on him with bite work, which he's phenomenal in that area. But he didn't have much odor work. So all the odor work I did on the weekends.
That's awesome.
So
Cody Talent is actually here watching.
What?
Let's see what else.
Well, I love what he asked. You got to answer that one.
Will Nick White decoy for Mattis on a live? Sure, we were actually gonna bring. Yeah, we were actually going to bring Mattis here, but we didn't have. We had some logistical things that we weren't sure about. So, but I am in Atlanta a lot, and I'll probably be here soon. So maybe I'll come up and we'll do that. That'd be awesome. Ooh, here we go. This is a good one. Okay. Bane the Canine wants to know. Did you have to teach Mattis any specific new things solely for the competition? Was the fire escape kind of the main?
That was that and the water training. Like those were the 2 areas that we focused on. Was I would dangle the balls from. That sounds so. I'm sorry. From the attic, it would be dangling and get him to just jump up and grab a hold of it and pull it down. And then just the water training was, like you said.
Did you ever do the water training without a decoy in it? Just to see what he would do without a decoy?
Yeah, well, no. Yes and no. We had done decoy training before in the water. Like Cody has done something for me, and where he'll go through the water, and he loves the decoy, so he's gonna nail it. But then I started doing just the water, and he was like, nope, don't want a piece of this. So we started harping on it. And I think it worked out.
So what were you using? A ball, a tug, or just?
Yeah, it was kind of a slow progression. It was his favorite toy. Toss it in and let him get it. But once again, kind of building that trust. I didn't want to
push it.
I didn't want to betray his trust and throw him in.
Yeah. So. Bane the Canine says swimming was new for me too.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. Amber says, any decoys in the water? That would be interesting.
That'd be fun. But it kind of lower the bar for where y'all set it. It just make it easy. It would be super cool to watch.
Because any dog with any bite drive at all should go flying in at that point.
Yeah. But that would be cool. It would be cool to watch for sure. I love that. What else we got? How were the dogs selected for the competition? I don't know if you can. Well, I don't. I know what we did. We just went through like an interview process.
Yeah, there was a casting essentially that said, hey, apply for this. They casting agents interviewed, Skype, submitted videos, all of that, and then they just randomly picked, I guess, who they thought would be the best for the show. However, go ahead.
No, I was just going to, you know what got us on.
What's that?
My daughter and him dressed
up. Oh, the tutu,
yeah. What got us on.
I remember they talked about that. However, we have not confirmed a season 2. But we are starting casting for a season 2 in case we get a season 2. So if you guys go to my Instagram, you'll see a post I did where you can submit for casting for season 2 of America's Top Dog if and when we get it.
Yeah, I like what Canine Odin said here. Number 1, it's humbling, but let's see. I was trying to look at it. It says, Mattis's textbook example of trust in your dog. Which, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Mark. When in the field, do you ever have to pull yourself back and just let Mattis do his thing all the time? So it's all communicating with your dog. Is learning who your dog is and learning what he's trying to tell you. And a lot of times I can get out of the way and he does a better job. So I try to eliminate myself from the equation as much as I possibly can. Going back to what we talked about earlier, is we try to train our dogs to a standard of make the dog so good that it doesn't matter how stupid I am.
Handler proof.
Right? Yeah. And I know how stupid I am, so.
Let's see. Canine Nitro and Gabby says there will be a season 2.
I hope so.
We definitely hope so. Keep liking, sharing. blowing up A&E about it, and yeah, that's what you can do to help ensure that.
Is Mattis going on tour anytime soon? I hope so.
Coco the Chihuahua says, Mark, do you have any tips on better communication with dogs?
Well, this is where I think Nick White, the expert trainer that he is, would be a lot better than me. But communication with Canine, it's just remember that you're supposed to be the smart one, right? So if you can't get frustrated with your dog, and I'll let you elaborate and everything, but you can't get frustrated with the dog. If he's not understanding what you're trying to say to him, it's your fault. It's not the dog's fault.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things why I knew that they would do great, and anyone that follows Mark, which all of you guys do, see that I think they have one of the biggest key elements, which is like they're pretty much everywhere together. So like Mark's always with Mattis. They're always working on stuff. They're always training to a new, better, higher standard. You know, one of my friends, Ted Summers, always says there's no such thing as maintenance training. Mm-hmm. You're getting better, you're getting worse. Mm-hmm. You're not maintaining. And so I think that just always out working with your dog, spending the time, bonding, working on different tasks, working on different drills, marker training, doing all those things just going to create much better communication, much better teamwork, much stronger bond. And then what I learned and have found is it's cool is the more things you do with the dog and the more tasks and things you teach, the easier it becomes for them to learn, because now they understand. You know, they understand markers better and they understand your cues better and your communicate. So it all kind of starts to snowball. It's just kind of getting that first thing going, and then it really expedites from there. Should we blow up big fish too? No, I can assure you that just blow up A&E. I can assure you that Big Fish is really pushing for a season 2 as much as anyone.
Yeah.
So it's really A&E that needs to hear how much people love the show and need to see it tweeted about and Instagrammed about and watched. That's the big thing, is just watching it, so they see that it's being watched consistently and that people want more of it.
Thank you guys.
Will military dogs be cast next season? If we have a season 2, the short answer is I don't know. However, some of my friends, like Dustin and them's obviously wanted that. But there's a lot that goes into that too. It's not just us saying, hey, give us a Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Army dog, put them in. Because they're going on national television, all these things. So a lot of it, even with police departments, it comes down to the department themselves. Yeah. There's a lot of trainers or handlers that wanted to be on, but for one reason or another, the department themselves is like, no, we don't want to take part in that. So it's kind of the same once you get in the U.S. government. It's like that's something the Marine Corps themselves would literally have to sign off on. Right. So it kind of gets into that stuff too.
What is Mattis' favorite dress when Mattis plays dress up? He likes them all. The ladybug dress, I think, is possibly his favorite.
The ladybug dress?
Yeah.
Not the tutu?
No, it's not as intrusive.
I love how Mattis has a quick reaction to Mark's voice. And yeah, that goes back to a lot of what I was just saying. It's that time spent together in training and knowing that you've never really steered him wrong before. And
so it goes back to some of the best advice I got, and there's trainers that'll disagree with me on this. And I agree with the trainers that disagree to an extent. And I'll explain what I'm saying because that makes no sense whatsoever. But my dad used to say all that dog wants to do is make you happy. At first, the dog wants to make
themselves happy,
right?
Yeah.
If you want to be good, you got to get beyond that, and it has to get to the point where all that dog wants to do is make you happy. That you have that relationship that, yeah, there's the toy, there's the treat, but he respects me more than those things. So, there you go.
Boom. Were you guys friends prior to the show? I mean, we're not even friends now, but no. Or no, we actually weren't. I don't know about you, but I was very familiar with you guys just because Cody.
Yeah.
Cody would it was more he would talk about Mattis a lot. And
which makes complete sense.
Yeah, he'd be like, dude, Mattis is a beast. Like,
that's
that
awesome.
dog bites hard, da-da-da. And then every now and then he would be like, oh, and Mark Tappan, I think he owns that dog. So I was familiar with him in that sense, which is why I had so much faith and confidence in him. As Cody Talent's a really good friend of mine, and I knew he always spoke very, very highly of them as a team, and Mark as a handler, and Mattis as a canine. So with someone that I really respect in the world of dog training, and a really good friend of mine speaking highly of a really good friend of his, and to me via association, I'm like, well, if Cody says they're legit, they're legit. So, and then of course, because of the show, we met, we started hanging out, and now we talk almost every day. So,
good.
And have romantic candlelit dinners and, you know, stuff like that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Where can I send Matt some goodies? Aw, thank you. There's actually an address. I think I have an address on my, I might not have it on my bio anymore. DM me.
Let's see. Mattis is a verified rock star.
I agree. He's a stud. I don't like him. What else we got? Anything? How has Mattis handled healing from your injury? You can tell he's getting fresh. For those of you who don't know, I tore my ACL back in August, right after the show, which is also a funny story because someone was like watching the show and they're like, "Oh, I can tell your knee's messed up there," and I'm like, "Actually, I was in perfect condition." Yeah. But anyway, so I tore my ACL back in August and I'm recovering. He is, like you said about the whole bite work at the end of all that, like the stimulation. You can see that he hasn't done bite work since August.
Just let me nuke somebody.
He wants to do something, so he's pent up and he wants to work. So, my wife's on. That's why Cody is on the sidelines. And, oh, God! Oh, that's why Cody's on the sidelines and not his wife. Honey, I wanted you to be there, and it was Cody.
And it was Cody instead.
It was Cody, who I not equally love, but also love.
How shallow was the water where the famous swan dive happened?
That was funny. It was, what does it go to about here?
I think it was...
So like 2 feet high?
I was going to say, yeah, 18 inches if it's up to here.
To let you know, my face actually, I grazed the bottom when I did it.
I think technically, I want to say it was like 4.5 foot.
Okay.
I think.
4.5 foot a foot would have been like to here on me.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 4.5 feet tall. Yeah, it was definitely not deep enough where I would have ever recommended an adult male diving into it.
Well, that was the funny thing after. They're like, that was amazing. Don't do that.
Don't do that. So yeah, it wasn't that deep. But here's the thing. Fortunately, I don't know for myself, but a lot of the handlers spoke about it. But I heard that the water was pretty cold. Did you feel like it was?
Man, I was in the moment.
So
I didn't feel anything.
Your adrenaline was so heightened
it was a little
that you didn't
cold.
notice?
I think it was a little cold.
I mean, I know it was cold for like, we're in the canyon and then I'm like 15 feet in the air.
I don't think it was too bad because like during the day, that's the crazy thing. It was California. So during the day, it got up to probably 90s
and then
or so. Yeah. And then at night, it just dropped like a rock.
It got cold.
So I don't think it was too bad.
Like some of those nights, Kurt and I had like little water heaters at our feet, our little heaters at our feet, and
it was the water was not blue. I'll tell you that much. It was green.
It was green.
Yeah. What else we got? Anything?
This is already, but
so totally dangerous. That's how I live. I live dangerous.
I'm not sure if you answered this already, but is there a casting tape you guys watch and pick the best dogs, or what was the deal with that? So for season 1, I had no part of the casting. Actually, when I was brought on to be the host, most of the casting, I think pretty much all the casting was already done. For season 2, if we get a season 2, I'm trying to campaign a little bit to change that, so I do have a part in it. So someone that actually kind of that's their realm is dogs and training, has a say in that, so we'll see.
I put my seat up higher because I was so much lower than
Will the second season be a different course? No clue. We don't even know if we're having a second season yet. But if I have any say or any part of it, there'll definitely be some changes. Just to change, what the dogs are doing, but to also change it for an entertainment value as well. So you guys, it's kind of like Ninja Warrior, right? So that way you guys see a new course, new obstacles, different challenges, all of those things. And the reason, because I like competition and challenges, that I would like to have that is so no one can really train for it.
Yep.
Because if it's the same course, now all these dogs can train for this course that these guys on season 1 didn't have the ability to train for. So I would like to have a new course that's rolled out with a very short notice. So now you can't train or replicate that exact course for the show. So
I had a good question over here by Canine Riggs. They asked, can I explain again about how dogs sense, like what you're feeling? And it's the vermal nasal organ that a dog has, and this is what sets dogs apart from any other animal. There's other animals that have better olfactory systems than dogs, like bears and deer and all kinds of other things. But the thing that makes dogs so special is they can smell the hormones that you emit, and they truly are man's best friend. It's the relationship between man and dog is that they react to those hormones, and they react accordingly. Like they say, bees and dogs can smell fear, which bees, by the way, you can train to do the exact same thing as a dog. They just die too quick, so it's not cost effective. But it's that relationship between man and dog that makes them so special.
Coco the Chihuahua says, will there be a point where you gather all the episode top dogs and they run a course for the ultimate top dog?
That would be fun. That's a great idea.
Yes, it's already been done. So the final episode, there will be like an ultimate top dog.
Can I be in it, please?
You got to wait to find out.
Dang it.
Let's see. I love the show. Thank you, Tracy. Did the contestants have a heads up on what was going to be included, such as dock diving, jumping out of cars, etc.? Yes, they did get a look at it, and then they all got one walk through the course essentially to kind of learn the rules. And all right, now that you came off from the 5-foot wall jump, this is what you do next. So that way they don't just look like complete fools during the actual run. Like, what do I do here?
Right.
So they all got to walk through. Yeah, as Otto said, it was very vague information.
Yes. It was pictures drawn out, and like I said with the whole, that's why I didn't understand the car slalom.
Yeah, literally
it had a picture of a guy standing there in cars with a dog jumping in a car.
Yeah, it's like, am I casting them or what?
I had no clue. What is Mattis's diet, raw or not? I love raw diets. I would say, like right now he's on Red Paw 26K, which is fantastic. It's actually made by people who train Iditarod dogs. And it's high fat, high protein, but I love raw fed diets as well.
Ed Bassmaster posted that he knows Nick. Nick, how do you know Ed? Would you just look at it? I do know Ed Bassmaster, really good dude. We talk almost every day. Became a good friend of mine. Long story short, he got his dog Ronnie. He said, hey, I want Ronnie to be amazing when he gets older. So before he got Ronnie, somehow, roundabout way, he found me. We became friends. We started talking. And I actually plan on doing a watch party in the Philadelphia area with Ed Bassmaster at some point during America's Top Dog run. So Ed is not lying. He does know me. What I think is interesting is people's like, Ed Bassmaster said he knows Nick White. Is he telling the truth? It's funny. Yeah, like I'm the... Should be like, Nick White said he knows Ed.
I look so much better on your phone. Like this is.
I agree.
This is
Maybe
real me.
Tapped.
This is real me. Oh, there we
go.
Dude!
You've been a 6 this whole time.
I could have been a 7.
I fixed it.
I could have.
I fixed it in one tap.
Thank you. I didn't know you could do that.
Since Mattis won, isn't he in the finals? Not by default. So there's 10 episodes, but for the finals, we only take the top 6 of those 10 episodes compete in the finals. So, I don't know. Because while Mark did have the second fastest time, that was up till episode 4. So it could stay the same, or it could drastically go downhill for him. So stay tuned to find out.
Canine Jester, who's awesome, asked where the Philly watch party will be.
I do not know yet. Ed and I still talking about it. Obviously, I have a lot going on with my schedule and traveling nonstop. Ed obviously has a lot going on with his schedule. However, on my Instagram, Nick White Canine, as soon as we lock down a date and a place, it will be posted there.
Mama needs a quickie. Did you see hers?
She says, "Do y'all plan on Scruff specifically for this live?"
His is so much better.
Kind of. This is only like 7 days old. And the longest my facial hair has ever been in my entire life. That's a fact.
So much gray.
So I went down to South Carolina this week and trained with a Special Forces unit down there. So since I was training with the Special Forces unit, I decided, when in Rome, do what they do. So I let my hair grow out. We're in the woods. We're doing tactical operations, tactical stuff. So I let it grow out. And then I knew I was coming here with Mark. And I couldn't have baby face next to Mr. Macho over here. So I decided to let mine keep growing just for this live as well. But there's a 90% chance by Monday, Tuesday, it'll probably be shaved. Full Auto says, I know Nick White too. Let's see.
Aw.
I could watch Mattis run the course all day.
Aww.
I could as well. Does Mattis train with your kids and wife?
Not really. Like, he's very much my dog. He follows me around. You'll see my son. Like, they'll do some like healing and stuff with him. He'll listen to him for food, like things like that. But he doesn't do a lot of training with them. Oh, thanks.
I just rewatched your episode and it was awesome. Says Amy.
It was on this afternoon. Like I randomly, like I've seen it on my own DVR like 9 times.
I'm sure.
I keep watching it.
Actually, that's a good question. I need to start asking contestants. No BS. How many times would you guess you've actually watched your run at this point?
Ooh. Not the whole episode.
Yeah, just your run.
Just my run?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna start asking. That's a good question. I'm gonna start asking every winner.
So my wife might have to help me, but maybe 4.
Okay, so not that many then. Like I'd assumed more. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have thought more. So here's the funny.
I was trying not to sound arrogant because in reality it's like 15.
No, well, no, that's like, honestly what I would assume because I watch every episode probably 6 to 7 times. I would say because I do the watch party generally, and when I do a watch party, I have a bunch of people there. It's loud. We're at a bar somewhere. So then I go home or back to my Airbnb or hotel, wherever I'm at, and then I watch it again. And so I'm like, oh, I should have said this, or oh, that was funny. I'm glad I said that. And I just notice a lot of things, and then I watch it a few more times after that. And then before I do a live with these guys, I watch it again. So that way I come into this very educated and can say, all right, Mark, at 28-second mark, you did this. So I watch them a lot. But
my wife's calling me out.
What's she saying?
She's saying 4 or whatever.
Oh,
and I will say that I still cry every time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. We'll take a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Smiling18 says, "What's up, hot pants?" That's for you, Mark. So
I gotta. Do you wear stretchy jeans?
I don't know.
I found these at American Eagle, and they stretch. They're like yoga pants for man.
Noted.
They're wonderful.
Season 2, maybe you should wear those.
Well, I'll get you a pair because they are wonderful. So I don't know if she's talking about my pants or not. But I love my pants, and I'm gonna get you some because you're gonna love them too.
I will indeed. Let's see. We'll take a couple more, and then we got to talk really quick about episode 5, which is coming up.
So, like, one more question, and then I want to talk about that. That'd be awesome.
So, all right, this is a good question. I'll let Mark answer this first. She says, they always talk about retired canines in shelters at the end of the episode. Are there a lot of canines in shelters?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. I know there's organizations like Project Canine Hero who I really like that help place retired police canines. But it is one of those things that if you're interested, please reach out because some of those dogs do need a home, and there's lots of dogs on contract for the military that are trying to be placed. So Project Canine Hero is a great place to look up and talk to them because they'll be able to answer that question a lot more intelligently than I can.
Mama Needs a Quickie says he met 4 times upstairs and another 20 times in his living room.
Well, yeah, isn't that what you meant?
And then
on the main TV,
and then 3 on his laptop.
And my phone. forgot my phone.
All right, so episode 5, which is this Wednesday, 9 p.m. As always, it's an episode you don't want to miss. And I always say that, and I don't say it to try to hype it. Hopefully you guys see that after 4 episodes. It's just every episode has something unique, has something exciting, has something different than we've seen before. Different type of underdog, different teams, different experiences. And it really is, every episode is just as exciting for me as the previous for one reason or another. For this episode, we have 4 police dogs and 1 underdog, which is a pit named Leonidas. He is our underdog. And then we have some amazing police dogs. We have Heather and Django out of, I think, Santa Maria, California, Canine unit. She's the first ever female handler in her department. They're an amazing team. A team that a lot of people have commented about on my Instagram that's coming in with a lot of hype is Rico. Is it Rico? He's like a 9-year-old Belgian Malinois.
Yeah.
9-year-old Belgian Malinois.
That's right.
Still active duty. And he's the USPCA regional champion.
That's
not
legit.
one. Yeah, and USPCA, United States Police Canine Association, for those of you who don't know, it's a legit organization with some really good dogs. And he's the regional champion, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 years in a row. So a lot of, like, my brother, for instance, like all the people at Ohio State Troopers, like, well, you can't root against this team. A 9-year-old Malinois, 4 years, and my brother actually said, he's won the USPCA championship more than some of the other competitor dogs on the episode have been alive.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting way to look at it. So we have a lot of great teams on this episode coming up, as we always do. So this is definitely an episode that you guys don't want to miss, and some really, really good dogs. We have a team, Tango, Canine Tango. He's been on live PD, I think 10 times.
Nice.
So he's a live PD celebrity. So did you make
one? What's the other?
Calypso. I think
Calypso.
Calypso.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Connecticut, right?
And that's like a SWAT dog too, right?
Yeah, 4-year SWAT team. He's the handler's been on SWAT team for 8 years. The dog's been on for 2 years.
That's awesome.
And he just got 4th place at like the Connecticut State Police Canine Challenge. So
that's a good.
We have some legit teams coming up that are coming in with a lot of competition experience. So it's going to be interesting to see how does that competition experience translate into America's Top Dog. Who do you got in episode 5 and why?
Can I pick 2 or do I have to stick to
Pick
one?
2 and then narrow it down.
Okay, Rico for sure. The USPCA is just
tells you a lot.
Oh, and that many times.
Yeah.
And Mals too. Like if it's a 9-year-old German Shepherd, I'd say, oh, they're probably slowing down. A 9-year-old Mal, that's probably not necessarily slowing down.
Yeah.
So that is fantastic. And then Django, and there's 2 reasons that I like Django and Heather. And it's Django kind of looks like Mattis.
Yeah,
so
I see that.
They look similar. And then, and not just to be funny, but Heather too is a collegiate athlete. So that tells you her competitive spirit. Like she's competed at
work ethic,
extremely high level. So
it's a good analysis.
Oh, if I have to pick one.
So one of them, if you think about one of them, the dog is super competitive and won a lot, and then the other one, the handler, is super competitive at a high level and won a lot.
I'm going with the Shepherd, man.
Yeah?
I'm going.
Shepherd power.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a coin flip.
Now, do you ever go for the underdog, or because you're law enforcement, you feel compelled that you got to stick with your law enforcement officers?
No, not at all. Like I knew Amanda before, Amanda and Minion before the competition, and so I'm a huge team Minion. Like I love Minion, and I knew that dog would be locked on just because I know the trainer, and so I was all the way all in on. So I don't feel I'll pick the one that
Whoever
I think
you think is going to be good.
Absolutely.
So you're going with Django's close second, Rico.
Oh, I don't know. When you said it, I said that, but I don't know.
So here, we'll make it easy. Would you say those 2 will be in the finals? Is that your prediction?
Yeah, I'll say
for
that.
round 3.
I'll say that.
To round 3.
I'll say that.
And then it goes either way at that point.
But dang, the Calypso too. Like that's hard.
There's a lot of good teams on this episode.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams that's coming in with a lot of experience, a lot of arrests, a lot of apprehensions, a lot of trophies. I mean, it was
an impressive lineup for sure.
Yeah, it's a good lineup.
I'm glad I didn't have to go against.
Yeah. So definitely tune in this Wednesday, 9 p.m. If you guys are on Instagram, hashtag America's Top Dog. If you guys are on Twitter, it's hashtag TopDogAE. But yeah, if you guys want to see a season 2, really the best thing you can do is A, watch it, and then 2, tweet about it, Instagram about it, DM A&E about it on Instagram and Twitter. Tell them how much you love it, and pretty much give them no choice.
I like
to
it.
give us season 2, and then hopefully we can get this guy and his team back on. Minion, Maker. I would love to do I'd love to do a fan favorites.
Yeah.
For season 2, like bring back some of the fan favorites of season 1, like, you know, Maker, Minion, Mattis, and bring them back as like wild cards for season 2. So I have a lot of grand ideas for a season 2. Now we just need to make it happen.
Gotta do it.
So
thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and stay tuned this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, if you don't follow Mark, follow them on Instagram.
If you don't follow Nick, follow Nick.
And there you go. And we look forward to tuning in this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Anything else? Any parting words?
I got nothing.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Later, guys.